From the age of about 12 years old, I had a real bad relationship with alcohol. So, like, I probably would black out once, twice a week from that age until I eventually gave up drinking. And obviously, now I realize that what I was doing was, hiding a lot of stuff, numbing the whatever's going on in my head, and just alcohol was you know, helped me not feel that way. And so that was unfortunately something that had lasted my entire life. Like, obviously, being Irish, everybody thinks you're great at drinking, and I was great at drinking. I had no problem in that space. And what happened was it started to really affect me the older I got in life. And unfortunately, about probably nearly 3 years ago now, I went through a divorce. And I always say this to an incredible woman and an unreal mother to Keegan, because I have a lot of respect for her. But it just wasn't working, and unfortunately went through a divorce. And at that stage, after that, it just went insane. So I didn't care what happened to me. I didn't care how much booze went to my body. I didn't care what I put into myself. You can use your imagination for that. I just was on such a downward spiral, and I was still in the I was still personal training. I was still always active. I was still always doing these things. But this drink was just like, it just had me. And then why I say that is that about, I separated in September. The following May, like, it was the boiling point of, the substance abuse and just being a total lunatic. Like, I did not care what happened. And you can use your mind to the end result of that. I did not care what happened. And then, unfortunately, May 5th, 2023, I was drinking all day. I worked out in the morning. I was drinking all day. And the scary thing is, I don't remember making this decision, but after the night, I got behind the wheel of my truck. So I went to drive home, and, I stopped on the side of the road, and music is blaring. Like, I should not have been driving. Like, unfortunately, that's something I'm going to have to live with for probably the rest of my life. And I hate that about myself, but it is a real turning point because, a woman pulled over and he wanted to see if I'm okay. And obviously I wasn't okay. And we're all humans. A lot of people could have been like, let me move your truck here and let me take your keys and you can deal with this tomorrow. And that's not what happened. And thank God that woman did the right thing and called the cops, and they came and I got arrested. I spent the night in jail because that was like such a low point. Like, to me, that was just, what are you doing? And from May 6th, the next day, that's when I gave up boozing. Never again. And obviously then you have to tell work that you got a DUI. So then I was 3 months off the road straight away. So I had to do Ubers, taxis. I had to get 3 buses to Keegan's baseball, practices, games, everything. It was awful. Trains to work, all this stuff. But I said that I could make it work. And I did make it work. I still performed, still did all that. Then I got back on the road in August. And then, unfortunately, the following January, then I was back in court. And then I got my 18 months off the road, 6 months totally not driving, and 12 months with a breathalyzer. And then, there's just all these tests, like, just have a drink. Like, that'll make you feel better, because it's going through the divorce, going through the DUI. And then January came around, and then I got let go from work. So I've been there for 10 years. And when people say, like, you just make one stupid decision could totally change your life, like, it 100% did. Because what came from that was, like, something you think you're so secure in, they'll never let me go from this job. All of a sudden, then you're done. So I was like, wow, what am I going to do now? And thankfully, I had a trip booked to see a good buddy of mine over in Singapore, and we went to Bali. And so I wasn't drinking, and we have grown up on the booze together. So, like, it's always a test going on holidays. Like, will I drink when I'm back in Ireland? Will I drink when I'm on vacation? And I was just focusing on my wellness. So I checked out all the CrossFit gyms, boxing gyms, any sort of wellness resort. And I was in a bunch of these places that just was like hot and cold. Like, even though it was 40 degrees in Bali, there's people still in the sauna, people still in the cold plunge, people look so happy. And I'm like, this looks interesting. And it's such a good thing to add on, because remember, I'm in Bali with no job. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's coming next. And so I wanted to stay in the fitness industry, because it's just something that I was passionate about, something I did outside of work hours, something to help me through sobriety. And I didn't feel like opening a gym was a clever move because there's just so many of them. And so all of a sudden, I'm sitting in one of these facilities in Bali, and it's just like, wow, recovery. Like if I do recovery, then I can, help every business that I've coached at, because all their people can use recovery to benefit their workouts. And now all of a sudden you have a bunch of adjacent partners versus direct competitors from opening up a gym. And so um, once that idea was there, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Because like, again, you talk about, tests and what obviously I had to tell my kid what happened. I'm like, well, what kind of dad do you want to be now? Like, are you going to just settle for whatever job comes along, or are you going to use this as a teaching point? And I was like, I'm not going back to a corporate world where, unfortunately, they would suggest when I should and shouldn't see him or get daycare and this and that. And I was like, I'm not doing that ever again.